Hey, welcome back. Unless it's your first time here, then hi, I'm Bones, and this time I'll be taking some of your takes you left in the comments of the last video. Before I begin, I want to address some points people kept bringing up in the last video. If it is your first time watching, I recommend watching part 1 before this video, but it's not necessary as I'll explain the points that were made. If you people enjoy this sort of thing, I'll make more of these types of videos. And if you'd like to be included, write your takes in the comments and make sure to put turtle before your take so I can find it easier. Alrighty, so I heard a lot of you say in the last video that the perks were in alphabetical order and that the search bar wasn't needed. But to that I have to say, imagine in a few years from now on, it's patch 17.2.0. Behavior has almost mastered the arts of messing up. Dowsy is still mourning the loss of his shirts, and we now have 40 pages of perks. You want me to sit here and search through 40 pages of perks, and it being in an alphabetical order is meant to help me. Dog, Half-Life 3 is gonna come out before I find the third perk. You could compare this to a dictionary. Why would you search for the meaning of a word in a dictionary when you have Google available? Why would you search for the perks ordered alphabetically when you can just search for the names? I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. Up next I wanted to talk about my blood point idea and yeah, it wasn't the greatest to say the least. In the last video, I suggested this. Okay, picture this. You have a 2000 blood point cap and each of the blood web nodes costs 1 point higher the higher the tier.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't. But I've considered it.
I didn't even take into account earning the blood points, and it wouldn't really make sense if we had such low numbers because how would you get them in game? And yeah, I agree with you people, it was a bad idea. But VHS did something similar to this which works out decently, but I honestly don't like it as much as the DVD blood web system. Those two were the main arguments I wanted to talk about, so now let's move on to your takes. Number 1. The black orb when someone gets hooked. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about the Rocket League goal explosion when someone gets hooked. The black orb obscures any aura reading perks and hides the killer, so if the killer is approaching you after hooking, you won't be able to see them even in plain sight. I can totally see where you're coming from, this is pretty annoying, but it does seem kinda needed. It would make Third Seal mad OP if it was removed. You wouldn't be able to tell where someone gets hooked, and would have to run around the map until you found them, so removing it wouldn't be an option. Making the orb like 50% transparent and allowing you to see auras through it would be quite nice, but this isn't just a hook problem. You may have noticed, but if you run Bitter Murmur and have a gen pop, sometimes you won't see the survivor completely because of the black orb. And it's not a distortion thing, it's a general issue with the perk. Survivors can hide behind the orb to counter it completely, which really sucks. Number 2. The Latency icon. I'm honestly quite surprised how many people don't like this feature, but it does make sense. I usually play on my friends' servers, so my ping isn't very good, and I have the icon stuck on my screen for every game the entire game. Some people have gone as far as to say it needs to be removed, but I think the setting just to turn it off would be enough. Speaking of ping, why can't we see the killer ping in the lobby? The killer ping icon is almost useless in game. If you join a lobby with a poor ping killer and could actually see the ping, you could just re-queue and find a better match. What are you meant to get from knowing that information in game? It's just a this game won't be fun indicator, but only once you're locked into the match. Like, wow, damn, thanks dude. That would have been really nice to know a little bit earlier. Guess I'm stuck with a base kick coup de grasp killer. Number 3. The sacrifice animation. I've thought about this myself quite a bit and I definitely agree. Having to sit there and watch my cutie get turned into a pincushion for the millionth time as the entity eats me gets boring quite fast. Especially when you're the last survivor to die and you haven't been hooked before, so you have to go through all the stages before you die, as the killer sits there and watches. It'd be really convenient if we could skip the animation client side so that we didn't have to sit there and watch the entire animation every time, while still going through the sacrifice process on everyone else's screen to not mess up things like the hatch. Number 4. Remove map offerings. This one is probably pretty controversial, but I 1,000,000% agree with them. Map offerings are disgusting. Does anyone other than bully squads enjoy using them? In a game where your perks or the killer's effectiveness depends on a map, being able to send yourself to a map is extremely cheap. If you've used the map offering to bully the killer, 3 men wearing black suits are going to arrive at your door tomorrow at 4 PM. It's not a secret that a lot of the maps are poorly made or outdated. And yes, removing map offerings wouldn't fix the maps, but it would stop people from bringing entire builds designed around a certain maps that are busted. It's crazy that in 2022 you can still send yourself to the game. Number 5. No survivor variation. This one's really interesting and yeah, it's strange. We've gotten killers from ancient times, but every single survivor is from recent times, which limits the creativity they can put into the survivors. An argument I can see being made against this would be, but how cavemen know how to do gen, And to that I have to say, how any of these people know how to do gen, It'd be pretty cool to see some characters from older times. I also saw someone complaining how the survivors are purely cosmetic and that they all should have different stats, but balancing that would be hell. Number 6. Skill checks when leaving generators. I hate this so much. Words cannot describe my hatred for this. I wake up every day thinking about the progress I've lost just because of this. I live in constant paranoia. They are everywhere I go. I can't get away from it. My therapist says they're not real, but I know they are. Every night I go to bed, I swear I feel it. I can sense the skill check somewhere. They're watching me. I hate this with all my heart, and I 100% agree with you. I've had actual teammates DC just because of this. You know who you are. Okay, but how would they change this? I'm not a game designer myself, if you couldn't tell from my last video. I have no idea how they could change this. As I was in the middle of making this video, Ots made a video on this topic and he says he has no ideas himself. But someone commented on his video with a perfect idea. So you know how overchargeless you hit the skill check even if you let go of a generator? What if a regular skill checks did that? This is a great solution, Captain Barnack. You're a genius. If you have any other ideas, I'd love if you let me know, because this mechanic is the worst. Number 7. Blood point spending time. Oh man, this. Ever since the blood web cost reduction, I get blood points faster than I can spend them in between games. Which sounds good, but it's not. I'm not sure if it's just me, but sitting here for 30 minutes clicking circles isn't very fun. I've seen a few good suggestions being thrown around, like making it so you can click on the end nodes and buy everything before them instantly, or skipping the level screen animation and making the blood web nodes a click purchase instead of click and hold, which are some pretty good solutions. There's a bug right now that will skip the level animation once in a while and it feels amazing to get, and it's a good little preview to how that would work. Number 8. And lastly, I'm going to speed through some of the points I got in one long comment that interested me that was made by Runelo. Things that annoy them are, number 1, how add-ons continue to be released for killers that just make the power actually usable and how it should have been there in the first place. I myself haven't had any issues with that since I wait before buying killers to see if people think it's worth it, but I have heard the yellow add-on for Wesker was pretty much a must before they made a base kit. Same with Demo and the Rat Liver, and I can imagine relying on add-ons being pretty annoying. In general, add-on reliant killers aren't well balanced in my opinion, but this is extremely subjective. I think killer powers should be balanced to be good enough on their own, and add-ons should be a way to allow different playstyles for the killer, like a lot of the eerie add-ons, except they fail very often at that. An example of this I'll make up right now is something like, imagine a Huntress add-on, which limits her hatchets to like 1 or 2, and for every hit you get with a hatchet you instantly get it back. So if you don't miss, you don't have to reload. It would make for a very aggressive Huntress playstyle. Also remember, this is just an example I came up with on the spot, so it's not perfect, but it gets my idea across. If there were more playstyle changing add-ons, the niche perks we have for killers could possibly see more use and there'd be more variety. Okay, now for the number 2. Next they said how you can lose a hook due to map design and the lack of hooks with very little or no altruistic intervention. I'm so shocked that they haven't done anything about this. Depending on RNG, you can lose an entire game even if you play well just because of poor hook spawns. But it's not only RNG. If a survivor gets sacrificed in the corner of a map and you down a survivor there, you literally cannot hook them on most maps. And I've had games where people do this and wiggle out and then run back to the spot, making me have to bleed them out to death, which isn't fun for either of us. A quick fix I have in mind is, if the same survivor that wiggled out goes down within 20 seconds-ish, you get a buffed version of Iron Grasp for that survivor specifically until they're hooked. Do you think this is a good idea? I might be missing some flaws of the idea, and if I am, feel free to let me know. Okay, and lastly for number 3, the fact that there is no way to preview multiple cosmetic pieces in the store. This is like the only cosmetic issue that the devs didn't jump on instantly. If anyone finds a glitch to mix sets together and create a fun unique loadout, they'll dedicate a whole team to fixing that. But an easy quality of life feature that would save many people, they won't even consider. A while ago I saw a Dwight cosmetic I liked. It was the pink shirt he had, and I was thinking of going for a pink loadout for Dwight, since he had other pinkish cosmetics. I just assumed that they made the other pieces the same color so they would fit together, since it makes sense. Let me show you how my Dwight loadout looks. What is this? They massacred my boy! All of this could have been avoided if there was a feature to preview, but now I'm stuck with Salmon Man. Why do they have to do him dirty like that? Why couldn't they all been the same color, dude? And yeah, that's it for now. It should go without saying, this video is just for fun, don't take it too seriously. If you have any more ideas or your specific complaints about the game, I'd love if you let me know. I might include you in the next video. Remember to put turtle in your comment before you take. Ratings and feedback are always appreciated. Thank you so much for the comments from the last video, it seriously means a lot. People like you inspire me to continue and make better videos. That's everything I have to say. Thanks for watching. See you till next time.